What's up, guys? It's your boy Just Vel here once again. Just want to say thank you for viewing all the other videos that I've done. This video here is going to be a little different from the reviews that I've done over the last couple weeks. This is going to be more like a video of what I believe is missing from wrestling, why the ratings are down, what I think that they can do to improve wrestling. And just, like I said, I've been watching wrestling for about 30 years and 30 plus years actually, and what I feel is missing from way back in the day and what they could do to incorporate some of that into wrestling right now. But before I get into all that, I just want to touch on something because, I've been hearing a lot of complaining about wrestling, and people will say, oh, they don't watch wrestling anymore. Oh, Vel, I don't watch this shit anymore. Oh, Vel, it's not the same anymore since The Rock and Stone Cold left. Well, it's not supposed to stay the same. In your life, you're supposed to evolve. In life, you're supposed to adapt to change. You're in your whole life. You mean to tell me that you can only watch a product if it stays exactly the same how you liked it before? I mean, come on. The NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, hockey, some of the TV shows, even video games, they've all changed year to year. Yet some of you still watch those. You mean to tell me that you stopped watching them because they changed? Come on. So your argument really sucks, to be honest, and you're just lying to yourself. Michael Jordan isn't playing basketball anymore. Kobe Bryant's not playing. Jerry Rice isn't playing anymore. Madden 15 isn't the same as it is as, Madden 19. So you mean to tell me that you stopped watching NBA because Michael Jordan isn't playing anymore? No, you're watching it now because Steph Curry's playing. LeBron James is playing. Jerry Rice wasn't playing. He's not playing right now. He was playing 20 years ago. So you mean to tell me that you stopped watching because your favorite player isn't playing anymore? I mean, that just sounds stupid. So basically what that's telling me is that you guys were just on the wrestling bandwagon. And, it was the hot shit at the moment, back then. And now that it's kind of cooled off and your favorite wrestlers aren't wrestling anymore, oh, I don't watch that anymore. That's for little kids. Bullshit. Just like Golden State. None of you were fans of Golden State 10 years ago. But now you're cheering for them. Now they're your favorite team. You got to go get your tickets, to see Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. None of you guys were watching, were cheering for Golden State 10 years ago. You all were Laker fans. You guys were all, Bulls fans or Spurs fans. Now you're buying Golden State jerseys. Come on, man. You're only watching them now because they're the talk of the town, So when wrestling becomes the talk of the town, so to say, don't come running back. We don't want you anymore. Keep that same energy when wrestling is back on top where it once was, when it was in its glory days. Keep that same energy and stay the hell away from what I love, which is wrestling. I'm never leaving. I'm never going anywhere. This is always going to be my first love. So if it's not yours, we don't want you on our bandwagon. Don't come watching our product to see how it's doing now, because you feel like, oh, it's hot now. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of stuff in the media that, wrestling, people are talking about wrestling. No, we don't want you anymore. We never wanted you in the first place. We're all bandwagoners. So stay the hell away from our wrestling community. We don't want you at our events. We don't want you turning into our product. We don't want you. All right? Now that I've got that out of my system, I can move on to what this video is about. Sorry for the rant, guys. I just had to get that off my chest because I'm just tired of hearing, a lot of people talking about how, wrestling is not the same anymore, and I don't watch that anymore. And that stuff is fake. That's for kids. No, come on, man. That's bullshit. So I just wanted to get that off my chest, and because I'm just tired of hearing it. So this video, like I said, guys, this is about what I think is missing from wrestling and what I think they can do to improve. This is just my opinion. I doubt they'll even go into doing any of these things because this is just what Vince does now. He just does what he wants. It's his company. He's going to do whatever he wants. And wrestling has evolved. Like I said, wrestling has evolved. They've changed. But what I think they could do to, change wrestling back to what it was and back to its glory days is, number one, the commentators could describe the moves during the wrestling matches. They don't even do that anymore. There are no, oh, he throws him to the rope. He clotheslines him. He picks him up. He tosses him to the ropes again. He gives him an arm drag, and then he gives him a hip toss. Then there goes the body slam. There's like none of that move set that's going on in wrestling right now. The hammer lock, the elbow smash, the headbutt. They're not describing what's going on in the matches to its wrestling fans anymore. So the casual wrestling fan won't know what's going on. They're just going to see a bunch of guys doing flips and dips outside of the ring. And for them to get back to that, I think that would improve the product because you would get the casual fans interested again. So I feel like, if the commentators were doing their job, and I know that a lot of them are being, told what to do in their headset by Vince McMahon, or, if it's Ring of Honor, whoever's, running that, or New Japan Pro Wrestling, a lot of the commentators are just being fed what they're supposed to be saying on, through the headset. And a lot of you guys may not know that, but that's what really goes on in the back. The Vince McMahon tells them, most of the time what they should be saying, and they may not get to describe the match like they used to. Jim Ross used to do it. Back in the day, it was Gordon Soley. A lot of those guys you may not even know about, because they were the old school commentators, the old school play-by-play guys. And they did it right. And that's why I fell in love with it. Tony Schiavone, Bobby Heenan, a lot of these old school guys, they all, went through the wrestling matches and gave a play-by-play about what was going on in the match. So another thing that's missing is there's no significant feuds or storylines right now. Everything is just somebody standing out in the ring. They call somebody out, and then there's a match, but there's no feuds. And back in the day, you had all kind of feuds. When you had Vince McMahon fighting Stone Cold, there was a reason why he was fighting him, and Vince was the boss, and the feud was, that Stone Cold was rebelling against his boss, and who doesn't want to rebel against their boss? So everybody fell in love with that storyline because you put yourself in Stone Cold's shoes. You always, who doesn't want to knock their boss on their ass, or who doesn't want to tell their boss to kiss their ass, or I'm not doing this today. So we all fell in love with that character, because he was rebelling against what the boss was telling him to do. And there has to be more feuds in wrestling for us to get involved. We want to know what's going on behind the scenes. We want to know, not just for them to come out in the middle of the ring and call somebody out and then they have a match, but there's no storyline, there's no buildup, there's nothing, and then there's no payoff. The payoff is supposed to be at the pay-per-view, but if you're on Raw and you're on SmackDown and you have nothing that has built up the entire 2 to 3 weeks before the pay-per-view, you're not going to, the wrestling fans aren't going to be invested, and the casual fans aren't going to tune in. So, they have to get back to getting the storylines and getting people involved and making it not just about the wrestling. Yes, it's a wrestling show, but you also have to entertain us with the feuds. So if they get back to doing that, I think that the ratings will also increase. Another thing I think is missing is there are no managers, and there's only really one manager right now, and that's Paul Heyman. Back in the day, you had managers like Bobby Heenan. He had a stew of wrestlers that he managed, Andre the Giant, Mr. Perfect, Ravishing Rick Rude. You also had Mr. Fuji, with Yokozuna and Demolition. You had Jimmy Hart, Mouth of the South. He had the Hart Foundation, Hulk Hogan, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, just to name a few. Right now, you got a couple of managers, but they're also wrestlers, so what is the purpose of them being managers if they're just going to go on 205 Live and be wrestling? Or Zelina Vega, she's managing Andrade Cien Almas, but she's also a wrestler. I want specific managers who are the mouthpieces, who come out there and talk for their wrestlers and get them over. Not someone who's going to talk for the wrestlers, get them over, and then they go on 205 Live and they're wrestling too, So I think they're missing that. Back in the day, they had so many managers, and they got the wrestlers over like you would never believe. It was awesome. I tuned in a lot to listen to those managers and see them get involved in the matches and see them get their butts kicked, and the good guys prevail. So it was so much fun back in the day seeing all that, and they're missing that right now because they only have Paul Heyman, and you see what he's doing for Brock Lesnar. That's why Brock Lesnar is so over right now. Brock Lesnar, he probably could talk for himself, but Paul Heyman is the best talker in the business. I've said this on a previous video before. He is the reason why Brock Lesnar is so over right now. All he has to do is come out there and say, my name is Paul Heyman, and he has the crowd just repeating every word that he says. They're on the edge of his seat with everything that he says. And, that's missing. We need managers to get some of these guys over because a lot of them can't get themselves over right now. They fumble over their words. They, like Braun Strowman, can't even remember his lines. But if you have some managers out there who are taking those roles, we won't have those blunders. So, we're definitely missing managers right now. Feuds that are meaningful. Back in the day, you had Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage, or Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. You had Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. Those feuds meant something. You had Hulk Hogan turning heel, and joining Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and creating the NWO, and everyone was against them. So they feuded against Sting, and they feuded against Macho Man, they feuded against Lex Luger. Those feuds meant something, Back in the day when you had Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, and they feuded because Macho Man thought that Hulk Hogan was, trying to get with Miss Elizabeth. Like, that was a feud that everybody could buy into and everybody could follow, and we tuned in to see what was going to happen next. They don't have those feuds anymore. They're trying to do it now. You have Mandy Rose, flirting with Jimmy Uso and trying to piss Naomi off, and they're fighting in the hotels. Like, we need to get back to more of that type of stuff. So we got to have some meaningful feuds. We don't want to just see, everybody can wrestle. That's why they're there. They wouldn't be in the WWE if they couldn't wrestle. But if you can't captivate me with a storyline, then you're pretty much boring me. And that's pretty much why the Revival, they don't captivate anybody. They don't have a storyline. They did a lot when they were at NXT. They went up against American Alpha. They had great matches. But that's not going to translate over into the WWE product because they don't have a storyline, backing them. They don't have a manager backing them. So we need more of that stuff to get these wrestlers over, get these feuds created so that we can get back to, the real WWE, the real wrestling that we want to see. All right. Wins and losses don't matter anymore. I believe one of the guys that I follow, his name is BC. If you guys check out his podcast, BC Amplified, he's great podcast guy, great guy that runs his show. A lot of his stuff, I tune in because he's just really amplified. He tells it like it is. And he said this on his podcast, the wins and losses, they really don't matter. And if you watched the All Elite Wrestling show that they had where they were announcing, their All Elite Wrestling, and Cody Rhodes said that, wins and losses will matter. In WWE, I don't think they do, because one week you got Seth Rollins winning, and then next week you got him losing. And how are you supposed to get behind someone if they're constantly losing, and then they have a win here or there, and then all of a sudden they're winning again? So you don't know if this guy's going to be, a superstar, if he's just going to be a mid-card guy. Mid-card means that, they're not at the top of the heap, to go for the title. They're just in between, they're going for the IC title, or, maybe they're just, they're not top tier, basically. But anyway, what was I saying? Wins and losses. Nobody knows who's going to be the top guy because, 1 week, like I said, you could be losing. The next week you're winning. How are you going to get behind somebody if you never, your wins and losses, you're losing more than you're winning. So we got to get back to domination. Stone Cold rarely lost. The Rock rarely lost. Hulk Hogan, he rarely lost. He was the champion for like 4 years before he lost to the Ultimate Warrior. Andre the Giant, he didn't lose for like 11 years, possibly. I may be exaggerating with that, but he didn't lose for a long time. Bruno Sammartino, I believe he held the title for like 7 years. So we got to get back to where wins and losses matter. You can't be having, the top guys or who you think are the top guys losing 1 week and then winning the next week. This 50-50 booking isn't going to work, if you're trying to establish superstars. So champions getting pinned. Now, this to me is ridiculous. I believe a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown, you had Daniel Bryan getting pinned by Mustafa Ali. Are you fucking kidding me? Mustafa Ali, the guy that was on 205 Live. 205 Live barely makes it to the pre-show. And now Mustafa Ali is pinning your world heavyweight champion on SmackDown. You got to be kidding me. I don't think any of the champions should be getting pinned on a regular Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown Live or anything like that. But he got pinned by Mustafa Ali. What kind of booking decision is that? You're basically saying, like I said, wins and losses don't matter. So the champion's getting pinned, that's just some bullshit. There's no reason why Daniel Bryan should be getting pinned by Mustafa Ali, of all people. Now, Mustafa Ali can wrestle. He does a lot of flips, like I said, flips and dips. That's what the crowd wants to see nowadays. They get the oohs and ahs. This is awesome, which I don't believe. I believe every crowd says this is awesome within the first 5 minutes of the match, because they see somebody jump outside of the ring and do a flip, or, they see somebody do a Hurricane Rana off the top rope, or, something like that. And it's just ridiculous. They're giving this is awesome chance to pretty much every single match there is, and they need to stop that. That's just another video altogether. But the champion's getting pinned on Raw and SmackDown, and come on, man, that's ridiculous. They need to stop doing that. Back in the day, the champion never got pinned unless it was at a pay-per-view, and even then they rarely got pinned. So they need to get back to the old school where the champions never got pinned, and keep the champions and their record of them being like I said, them being the champion. They need to keep that intact. They're basically saying anybody can get pinned at any time, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So 50-50 commentating. Now, this is something different that I don't think anybody has addressed, but back in the day, you had Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, Randy Savage, even Vince McMahon was a commentator, Jim Ross, and you had Jerry the King Lawler. All those commentators, they were either a heel commentator, which is a bad guy, or a face commentator, which is a good guy. There was no in between, so now you got Corey Graves, and you got Michael Cole, and you got Renee Young, who has just joined the commentating booth, and they're Byron Saxton. And 1 minute Corey Graves is rooting for the good guys and cheering on, and then the next minute he's a heel commentator. It's like, pick one. You can't be rooting for what AJ Styles is doing 1 minute, and then the next minute you're loving Daniel Bryan's new heel turn. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So either love him or hate him is what I have to say about that. Be on one side, stop flip-flopping. So bring back the pipe bombs. Now, a lot of people may not know what that means, but there are a lot of pipe bombs, and I just want to address two of them. One of the pipe bombs was AJ Lee's pipe bomb when she came out and basically told the divas, which was Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, Eva Marie, those type of divas who really aren't known for wrestling. They're known for being, beautiful girls, Kelly Kelly, women like that. And she came out and said, I'm not gonna ever join Total Bellas, Total Divas, whatever the show is. You're not gonna see me out there flaunting my ass or, taking my top off, with a towel. Why? Because I'm a real wrestler, and I do this for wrestling, and I do this because I love it, not because I'm trying to get a television show. And, she was kind of crossing the fourth wall, as they call it, where it crosses over into real life. And what they call that in the wrestling community is a pipe bomb. The other one is when CM Punk did the pipe bomb, where he was the champion at the time, and he hadn't signed his contract with the WWE yet. He had a pay-per-view match coming up against John Cena. And his pipe bomb basically broke the fourth wall as well, saying that I don't have to sign, and I'm going to win the championship match against John Cena, and I may not come back the next day. I may take this belt, this championship, over to New Japan Pro Wrestling or over to Ring of Honor, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And, he was basically talking about how, John Cena has been given everything, and, he's a real wrestler, and he's the real best in the world. And, breaking the fourth wall and letting everybody know that, he is the man. And like I said, he broke the fourth wall. He told a lot of truths in that pipe bomb, and they actually had to cut off his microphone because he was going into some things that Vince McMahon really didn't want him to say live. So I would like for them to bring back, some more pipe bombs and let these wrestlers express how they feel. Let them tell their story and let them say the things they want to say, on the live show so that they can get out their frustrations. I thought it was great, and that's going to captivate a lot of wrestlers to, tune in. So, let them express themselves. That's missing. So last but not least, guys, I want to get into this one because I feel like this is, it overcompensates for wrestling a lot. And that's the false finishes. That needs to go away. And what I mean by false finishes is when you're having a 1-2 and all of a sudden they kick out. Now, that's okay for a few, matches here and there, but it's in every single match. It's 1-2 and the wrestler kicks out. And it's like every time they do a move. Back in the day, there weren't a lot of false finishes. You weren't kicking out of a lot of the finishing moves. When you got a leg drop from Hulk Hogan, you knew that it was over. When you got a Stone Cold Stunner from Stone Cold Steve Austin, you knew that match was over. When Ultimate Warrior pressed you up in the air and dropped you on your flat on your ass, and then he went to the ropes and then jumped over and splashed you, you knew that it was over. When Yokozuna climbed, to the second rope and gave you the bonsai drop and splashed down on your chest, you knew damn well that match was over. When the sharpshooter or the Stinger put on the Scorpion Deathlock, or Ric Flair put you in the figure 4 leg lock, or, when Macho Man hit you with the flying elbow drop off the top rope, you knew those matches were over. There were no kicking out. And now they're kicking out of everything. For instance, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. Brock Lesnar hit Roman Reigns with at least 5 or 6 F5s. Roman Reigns kicked out of every single one. Now, that's supposed to be a finisher. You mean to tell me that he's kicking out of all those? Come on, man. That is ridiculous. Roman Reigns was hitting him with spear after spear. Brock Lesnar's kicking out. It just doesn't make any sense. They're even doing it on, in-house shows. They're doing it on Monday Night Raw. They're doing it on SmackDown. It just doesn't make any sense. AJ Styles can hit you with the flying phenomenal forearm, and you got somebody like Mustafa Ali kicking out of that. I mean, let's get serious. So they need to stop with the false finishes, kicking out after 2 when somebody hits you with their finishing move. That needs to just be it. The only person that I've seen possibly that not happening to is Randy Orton. When he hits you with the RKO out of nowhere, it's over. From what I've been seeing, it's a 1, 2, 3. So they need to get back to not allowing these wrestlers to kick out of these finishes. And if they're going to do that, don't do it. Don't have the wrestlers, give them their finishes so many times where they're kicking out, or don't do the finishes until you know that it's the end of the match, So they need to get back to doing that and not letting the wrestlers kick out. And that will make the matches more awesome. Them kicking out after 2, after all these, finishing moves and signature moves is just getting ridiculous, and it's watering it down, and it's really making wrestling unbearable to watch at points. So, like I said, they need to get back to doing that, guys. That's going to be the end of, my rant, about what I think is missing from the wrestling business, guys. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave your comments of what you think is missing. Also, guys, hit that subscribe button right down there. Hit that subscribe button. Let me know that you are tuning in. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Again, hit subscribe so that you can catch all of my videos that are coming out. I will be doing another video tomorrow night. Tomorrow night after, or probably before SmackDown. It'll be the Monday Night Raw review of what I think about Monday Night Raw from tonight. It's actually about to be starting here in an hour or 2. So I'll be doing that review tomorrow night of, just giving you guys a recap of what I thought about it. Tune into that. Feel free to, send your comments, let me know what you think about my videos, guys. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Thank you for the views. One of my videos, like I said, had about 400 views, and it was, just about a WrestleMania review or, recap of me getting my WrestleMania 35 tickets, travel package. So I appreciate you guys all tuning in for that. Like I said, again, please hit that subscribe button. The more subscribers I get, the better off I am with these videos. I really appreciate it. So this is Jess Vell signing off, guys. Until next time, peace.